Welcome to this video overview showcasing Rev-Trac's parallel development safety suite, which includes OOPS, the overtake and overwrite protection system, and extended object locking. To start the demonstration, I'm going to create a new request. This will represent a long-running change, something that's likely to stay in the QA system for a while and take a while to progress to the production system. This request is number 91. I'm going to go to the SAP screen. Here we can see I've made a long-running change or some code that represents a long-running change. When I create the new transport, the Rev-Trac request enforcement screen has appeared, and I can allocate this to the desired request. At this stage, there's nothing intervening any request for use. So I'll choose to continue. Returning back to the Rev-Trac web user interface, refreshing this information, we now can see the technical details, includes the new transport and the programs associated, which is Z_Orlando. I'm going to go ahead and approve this to the QA system. We can see transports from D75 in this case. We'll go to Q75, client 001. Having a look at the logs, we can see in the background the transport's been successfully released, now queued for the QA system, and finally that import is complete. We've got good return codes as well. So we refresh this, we can see in the audit history the in QA status has been approved automatically due to that successful transport import. Now we're going to set up our second request. This will represent an emergency change, something that's likely to require immediate migration to production. And I'm going to impact the same object in this case. The developer would normally remove something to put their emergency change in so that it is reflecting that of the production instance. So I'll activate this. So any attempt to work on request number 92 will produce a lock error because the system will not allow for the users to inadvertently work in parallel. Here we can see in the locked request report that this change is locked to 91, which represents the long-running change. The developer at this time has the ability to request parallel development. In this case, he wants to work on request number 92. Completing that short form will send an automatic workflow email to the development team lead or a suitably authorized user to then go and approve the parallel development. In this screen, we're acting as the development team lead or somebody with the authority to approve the parallel development. We can see that there is a request for parallel development. This user has the ability to approve, reject, or redirect if he desires for the user to work on a different request. Also the ability to investigate the lock, and we can see here the long-running change, get an understanding of the risks associated with working in parallel. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and approve it, and that development team lead's role is done. When we move back and refresh the lock report, we can now see that development is open for both request number 91 and number 92, development in parallel. We'll go ahead and associate this transport to request number 92. And we can see the system has now created a transport number for us. Moving back to the Rev-Trac request screen, we can see the transport is associated and the version with the emergency change in it is now ready for migration. We'll go ahead and approve this to the QA system. Once again in the background, we'll notice that the logs are being built up as the automation steps trigger the import and migration to the target system. Once again, we've got good return codes, and Rev-Trac will automatically sign off the in QA step and notify the next users of the need to perform their testing tasks due to the successful import into QA. Go ahead and approve the testing complete step for this emergency change and now trigger the migration to production. Now, as this is version 2 of the object, we are essentially overtaking or out of sequence migration of the second transport, which is the emergency change. Go ahead and approve this. And at this stage, what we're seeing is Rev-Trac's caution about an overtake occurring here. We can also see a comparison of the objects to get an understanding of what this overtake means. This is the second step here in understanding what it is that's occurring with out-of-sequence migrations. And we can see that the long-running change is being impacted and that the emergency change is actually being delivered into the production system. So now we can choose to either stop or continue for the purpose of the demonstration and for the purpose of getting the emergency change into production quickly. I'm going to choose to continue. We'll also notice, once again, the production import steps are occurring in the background. Now that that's occurred, our emergency change is complete and it's been delivered successfully to the production instance. Here at request 91, we can continue to work on this requirement. Typically what would happen is the tests would fail and another transport would be added to this request to remedy the failure. And the reason the test would fail in this case is because that long-running change had been removed. So now adding that, the developer will add his additional transports to this request. Due to 91 still being one of the available locked requests, there's no need to ask for the ability to develop in parallel. Refresh this, we will see that there are now 2 transports on this request. Triggering the migration to QA. The additional transport will be sent, which will apply the emergency change alongside the long-running change into the QA environment. Once testing is passed, the appropriate user can approve the testing steps and the migration to production can be triggered. This time we're receiving an overwrite report. Now the overwrite is to notify that one of the objects is actually being migrated out of sequence, which is correct in this case. The first transport is being put back into the production system over the top of the second transport, which represented that emergency change. And you can see that there is potential here that the emergency change will be overwritten. A comparison report will show exactly what will occur in this case. And what we can see is that we will be replacing the emergency change with both the emergency and the long-running change, which is the ideal outcome in this circumstance. The user can choose to continue at this point, and the migrations will occur. Here we can see the status has moved to complete, and we have had a successful import of parallel changes into the production system without any negative consequences.